Whatever you have to do. However long it takes. Promise me you'll find your way home. Furiosa. Give me this promise.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
The darkest of angels. The question is, do you have it in you to make it epic?
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Happy Brazil Comic Con weekend. There's a ton of trailer footage. This is for Furiosa, the next Mad Max movie set before the events of Fury Road. As you can tell, it's all about the origin story of the Furiosa character, started by Charlize Theron, played by Anya Taylor-Joy in her younger form. It takes place about 15 years before the events of Fury Road. And it looks bonkers. It's Chris Hemsworth versus Immortan Joe versus Furiosa. So there's like this three-way battle going on during the trailer. We'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, this is just the beginning. There's a bunch of trailers coming, like House of the Dragon Season 2 trailer, The Boys Season 4 trailer. I will do videos for everything this weekend. So be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that stuff. The synopsis for the movie reads, as the world fell, young Furiosa is snatched from the green place of many mothers and falls into the hands of a great biker horde led by the warlord Dementus. That's Chris Hemsworth's character. They put him in a prosthetic nose, so I think he doesn't look quite as much like Thor. Like, is that Thor? What has Thor done now? What's going on in this apocalypse? Can we make Chris Hemsworth look as ugly as possible? Sweeping through the wasteland, they come across the Citadel presided over by the Immortan Joe, who was the main villain of Mad Max Fury Road. He's also still the main villain of this, but the whole idea is that you have Chris Hemsworth's warlord, Dementus, fighting Immortan Joe for control of the Citadel during the movie, and Furiosa sort of caught between them, trying to survive long enough so that she can escape and try to find her home that she was stolen from. And that's basically what the synopsis continues to say. Like, while the two tyrants war for dominance of the Citadel, Furiosa must survive many trials as she puts together the means to find her way home. There are a couple big time jumps during the trailer because they do cover her origin story when she was very young, but when she's like the full Anya Taylor-Joy adult version of the character, that's 15 years before the events of Fury Road. And I think part of the idea in them calling it Furiosa with the subtitle A Mad Max Saga is because the Mad Max character probably will not appear in the movie, or if he is, maybe like in the post-credit scene. Otherwise, they would probably call the movie Mad Max Furiosa. I do not think that Tom Hardy's version of Mad Max is going to appear during the movie. Famously on set, he and Charlize Theron got into a bunch of battles. There was a bunch of bad blood between them on set. They've since made up because the movie was like 9 years ago. That's how long it's been since Fury Road came out. It takes George Miller a while to cook this stuff in the oven. Like, what is he cooking? But for those of you that have been clamoring for something like this, like something as big and weird that has nothing to do with Marvel or DC or like big comic book movies, this is what you've been waiting for. Does it not look like it is going to be totally crazy in the best possible way? I did get a bunch of George Miller, Chris Hemsworth, the other people talking about the movie, so I'll use that later in the video. But just starting at the beginning of the trailer footage, working our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs, WTF moments, and references to the other Mad Max movies, there are a couple Easter eggs here in the trailer that you probably detected, like a couple mirrored shots, a couple familiar things. So at the beginning of the trailer, they start on Anya Taylor-Joy's adult version of Furiosa, walking away from her bike, looking out into the wasteland. This is meant to mirror the shot from the very beginning of Mad Max Fury Road, with Tom Hardy's Mad Max character doing the exact same thing. They cut it with the voiceover of what sounds like might be her mother telling her to find her way home, like no matter what you do, find your way home eventually. Later in the trailer, we see what looks like her home that she was stolen from. They call it the green place of many mothers, and I think the idea is that it just gets raided by warlords, Immortan Joe, this Dementus character, other random warlords in the wasteland for breeding purposes. The land of many mothers, quote unquote. There were a lot of women at the Citadel during Fury Road, so I think part of the idea is that most of them get stolen from either other places or they just grow up in that environment. Not sure why she's left her bike. It might be because it ran out of gas. In the wasteland, the two most precious resources are like gasoline and just basically water. Normally I would just say water, but like everything they have runs on gasoline. That's part of the whole metaphor of George Miller's Mad Max movies. It's sort of like the downfall of society. So that's why you don't see any of the characters, any of the Mad Max movies using any kind of solar power or electric power or anything like that. Then they have what looks like Dementus's biker gang with his bikers. Furiosa seems like she becomes one of those at some point. Like he's the person that steals her from the green place of many mothers where she originally grew up. And they give us a big info dump, like a bunch of exposition with these titles flying at the screen, explaining sort of the backstory of what happened before the events of this movie. When it says 45 years after the collapse, that's basically meant to have taken place between the first two Mad Max movies, like Mad Max and then The Road Warrior. So a lot of people will be like, wait a minute, didn't Tom Hardy play the Mad Max character in Fury Road 15 years after this? The timeline doesn't totally make sense. The funny way that George Miller addressed this is that he said he didn't really care too much about the really specific internal canon of his Mad Max movies. He was just focused on telling like really interesting stories with the new movies. So if there are little details or like the timeline doesn't add up or something like that, that's on purpose. George Miller intended it to be that way. It's sort of like the Spider-Man Marvel 8 years later kind of issue that cropped up and people are like, wait a minute, the Avengers battle didn't happen 8 years ago, like the timeline is wrong. The Marvel people care more about that internal timeline way more than George Miller does. When it says Furiosa is going to devote the rest of her life to finding her way home, obviously by the events of Mad Max Fury Road, that still has not happened. I love the description here. This is her Odyssey. It makes it sound very old school, like very Greek Odyssey, Odysseus. This is the very young version of Furiosa who's just been stolen from her home with a little teddy bear, and a younger version of Chris Hemsworth's Dementus character talking to the rest of his biker gang. Notice he says lady and gentlemen's because she's the only woman that's there with them. It's not totally clear why he stole her from her home. Maybe it was initially for breeding purposes. Maybe it was because of happenstance, like maybe she just got swept up in their raid. He looks absolutely bonkers, and because this was filmed down in Australia, he can use his natural Australian accent. So even though he is putting on a special voice for the movie, it's much closer to his natural speaking voice than his voice as Thor. I cannot wait to see some of the Thor memes when this comes out though, like what is going on? There are a couple of shots from across the movie in different places. I think this monster truck is meant to belong to Chris Hemsworth's character. George Miller talked about a couple different cars during the movie, and I think the idea is that some of the characters will get a bunch of different cars at different points. There are a bunch of Immortan Joe's men with his gasoline truck. Then we see younger Immortan Joe versus Chris Hemsworth's Dementus. This person on the bike that looks like it's raiding Immortan Joe's gasoline truck is probably part of Dementus's gang. It seems like when he's vying for control of the Citadel, they find the gasoline truck and they try to raid it just like anybody else, any other group of raiders would try to do, just because gasoline is so precious. Notice she's putting the black makeup on her forehead like we saw her wear during Mad Max Fury Road, and there's that wheel behind her too. It seems like that room from Mad Max Fury Road that they all took the wheels from when they went on missions. Not sure what's happening to Chris Hemsworth's Dementus character here, like there's this giant fire pit. It just seems like he's in the middle of some big battle. This is meant to be Furiosa's home, the green place of many mothers. Naturally, you see a ton of women. Notice they're running with a bunch of machetes, a bunch of guns. It just seems like they're in the middle of a raid. Not totally sure what's going on in this scene here, too, at the middle of the night in the wasteland. This just seems like some person that takes Furiosa under his wing when she's younger. Maybe just some person that she gets close to inside the Citadel, like inside Immortan Joe's group. The problem with that, though, inside the Mad Max universe, that's sort of like a death sentence for anybody that gets close to the main character. Usually they wind up dying. Especially anytime it seems like two people experience like a happy moment, like, oh, something really bad is about to happen here to undercut this. This just seems like it happens at some point during the movie when she's working with Dementus' biker gang. This seems like her driving one of Immortan Joe's cars. This is actually Gastown, the refinery that they referenced during Mad Max Fury Road that they were supposed to be on their way to when she was helping all those women escape. It's pretty much exactly what you think it is. It's like a refinery that's just near the Citadel where they get their gasoline from. Just another shot of Immortan Joe. This seems like Furiosa doing the same kind of chant that they did during Fury Road when they went on missions. This just seems like another shot of Dementus' biker gang raiding Immortan Joe's gasoline truck. Notice it's the middle of the day and they're also on their way to Gastown. Then we see Furiosa attacking a bunch of people and also her with her mechanical arm. So like she's already had her arm replaced at this point. Not exactly sure how that's going to go down. It'll be interesting to see because in a bunch of other scenes during the trailer, she has both of her arms. Then they end with a shot of her with her bike underneath Immortan Joe's gas truck, which might just be part of the way their raid goes down. This is probably just a little bit earlier in the movie. One of the interesting things though, like the whole idea you have this three-way battle going on, like Furiosa's trying to survive Dementus, Chris Hemsworth's character, versus Immortan Joe, but Dementus does not appear, as far as we know, in Mad Max Fury Road, so that probably means that he winds up dying at some point during this movie, and clearly Immortan Joe still rules over the Citadel when that is happening in the later movie. There's a bunch of stuff going on in the trailer, so if you recognize any Easter eggs for any of the other Mad Max movies that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. Right now, the movie is scheduled to come out May 24th next year. That'll actually come out pretty close to Dune 2, which is now coming out a little bit earlier in the year in March. So there's a couple really cool movies coming out early next year. But like I said, this weekend is Brazil Comic Con. There are a bunch of big trailers that'll be dropping tomorrow. I'll be doing videos for House of the Dragon Season 2 trailer, and then probably a Boys Season 4 trailer. I'm not sure exactly what time they're dropping, so just be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of those. I'll do videos for them as fast as possible. Click here for that House of the Dragon Season 2 trailer video, and click here for that Boys Season 4 trailer video. I'll update the links for those as soon as I post those videos. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.